Hey there everybody, I'm Connor and welcome back to my channel. Today, as you may have seen by the title of this video, hence why you've clicked on it, I'm going to be reviewing the kind of latest horror that's been released here called Lights Out. And as kind of hinted at in the title, it is all about being kind of scared of the dark kind of aspect of horror, whereby whenever the characters have the lights out in this film, there's going to be this kind of creature, this spirit that comes and attacks them. It is kind of it's a very interesting premise. I really enjoyed the premise of the film. It is, it doesn't seem all that complicated, which is probably what's actually quite interesting and creative about it, is because everyone has that inherent fear of the dark, fear of the unknown. You might be in like a really dark room and hear something unusual, or you hear something that you would normally kind of know what it is, but in the dark it distorts it and changes what you think of the surroundings around you. So that's kind of the premise of the film. As for the characters, I don't think they could have been developed a bit more, but overall their characters are very strong. They have kind of a good relationship set up between them. There's not a huge vast cast of characters that you have to understand and get interested in. There's just, say, about 4 or 5 characters that are in the film, and some of them come in and out or are only in there for the beginning, and then the rest of the film you're focused on 3 or 4 main characters, which is good because we're focused on them. But like I say, because we are focused on these few main characters, they could have been developed a little bit more to give us a bit more of a connection to them. But we definitely have some great scares in this film. It is a horror, so you're going to expect some good jump scares. There's a lot of tension because there's a lot of dark scenes, and although like in many horrors, the characters' actions are somewhat questionable, like going down into the basement when they shouldn't be, because something might happen, as we've seen so many times before in horror films, or even like comedy horror films like in Ghostbusters. They kind of do these things because they think it's the right thing to do at the time, but it's not until something happens that they realise, oh, this was not actually a good idea. So apart from the usual thing like that and the character development, it is overall a fantastic horror. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's definitely not the kind of top tier horrors that we've seen recently, such as The Conjuring or any of the classic horror films, but it's definitely a very enjoyable film. It's got some great horror moments in it. One thing that I do enjoy about the horror genre is there's often a good use of cinematography, and this film definitely has its moments. For example, there's a moment where the main character, Rebecca, is kind of bending down in her apartment to look at something, and the camera kind of swivels around her and it goes dark and it goes back to her childhood and she's having a flashback. But the way that it's done is very creative, and it's made a great use of cinematography, and there's great use of sound and music as you would expect in horror films. So definitely props to them there. I love a bit of good cinematography, so they've definitely done a good job, and would recommend seeing this film. Certainly if you're a fan of horror, then I'd obviously check it out. If not, it's definitely nothing too serious. I think if you're not a fan of horror, you're definitely going to get a scare out of it. If you are a fan or familiar with horror, then there's going to be a lot of stereotypical elements in there that you will expect and be ready for, but it's still a very enjoyable watch. I think I'll give this film a 7 out of 10. It's kind of borderline between 6 and 7, but some of the just pure good elements of cinematography and the jump scares and things that are in there pushes it up, for me anyway, to a 7 out of 10, and I would definitely recommend you going and checking this film out as well if you haven't already. And if you have, then be sure to let me know what you thought of it down in the comments, and stay tuned for my next videos. Definitely subscribe to the channel to make sure that you can keep up to date with them, and like this video if you enjoyed it. It really shows me if you're enjoying my content, and I'll be sure to be bringing you more content like this. And you know, I bring out new videos every single week, so stay tuned for them, and I'll see you in the next one.